Hey, it's Natha. Welcome back for another week of astrology. I missed last week because life. We have the astrology for July 4th through the 10th happening. It's big energy out there, as you can tell just by looking around the world, watching the stories that the media is presenting, and then looking into your own personal life. We have just passed Mars in a square to Pluto, which can feel really agitating. And we also have July 4th, which is our United States Independence Day happening. It was on this day, approximately 248 years ago, that the Declaration of Independence was signed. And the reason that that's a big deal, especially now, is that Pluto has returned. It takes Pluto about 248 years to circle the zodiac and return to where it was. Anytime we have a Pluto transit, everything gets very intense because Pluto is the planet that has us looking at our shadow, looking at the trauma, the chaos, the things that have happened to us that we haven't had control over and yet still impact us significantly. So we are back there. We're all having to look at our own government, at our internal government, and see what is wrong. It's like when you know that you have a really filthy area underneath your kitchen sink, the water's been leaking, there have been rodents, and you just know it's disgusting and it's starting to smell, and you're avoiding dealing with it because you know it's going to be a big project. Well, that's kind of what we're doing right now in the US and definitely also in the world, because the world has some very strong astrology happening at the same time. So we're really under the influence of so much. And I always suggest get a reading if you're wanting to understand more about what's happening astrologically, because it is very intense. It is the strongest astrology that any of us have ever lived through. And I personally find it really comforting to understand the astrological background because it gives me hope, gives me inspiration, and it makes me understand that this is not going to last forever and we are not necessarily headed into the deep and the dark to stay. But what you want to do with a Pluto transit like this is you want to get under that proverbial kitchen sink and you want to shine a light down there and see what's there and clean it up. So we're all being asked to clean something up in our own personal lives and then of course out there, but we can't affect change out there until we are working on it on a very personal level. Now this week we have Mercury entering Cancer, Mars entering Taurus, Pallas Athena entering Gemini. So that's a lot in and of itself. That's what I want to talk about right now. So when we have planets that change signs, it does give us a chance to change gears and meet problems with a new and fresh energy. So Mercury has been in Gemini, which is very mental, very much about overthinking. As Mercury transitions into Cancer, we're looking at much more of an internal going within to assess. Mars has been in Aries, which is about fighting and going to battle. Mars in Taurus is much more logical and solid. And Pallas Athena has been in the sign of Taurus. So there's been a slow taking assessment. And now when Pallas Athena moves into Gemini, there will be more of a let's use what we've learned and think clearly and come up with solutions. So it should be a good week energetically, also interesting. Be watching for how all of these things show up for you in your life, because that's really the overall wisdom and guidance, is to be as conscious as possible in these times so that you're not swept away on the stream of whatever agitation the collective is experiencing. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you next week.